Midpoint formula. The midpoint is the point that cuts a line segment in half. So we got this line segment. Line segment has two endpoints like this, and the midpoint is going to be the point that cuts that thing in half. So like this would be equal to that over there. It's a point that's halfway from the two given points, and I couldn't remember what goes in the two blanks down at the bottom. So I said the midpoint is awesome, and Auburn is no good. Auburn is no good. There is the formula, x1 plus x2, all that divided by 2. And then there's a comma right there. That's kind of weird. We're going to talk about it in a second. And then y1 plus y2, all that divided by 2. So what does this comma mean? The midpoint we said was a point. So like we're going to have an x comma y point. And to get this x value, we're going to do all of this stuff right there. And to get that y value, we're going to do all this stuff right here. So that's why it's in parentheses like this, and that's why there's a comma right there. Okay, so our final answer is going to look like that. We're not going to punch all that into our calculator because the calculator can't do all that. What does that mean? That means the average of the x's and the average of the y's. So what does it mean to find the average of something? If I asked you to find the average of 2 test grades, you would add them up and divide by 2. If I asked you to find the average of 5 test grades, you would add all 5 of them up, and then you would divide by 5. So in this case, we have 2 points, and we're going to find the average of the x's. There's only 2 x values, and we will divide that by 2. So let's take a look at some of these. Find the midpoint between the following points. I got 3, comma 8, 3, right 3, and up 8 would be right there. And 1, 4, right 1, and up 4 would be right there. I have to find the point that's halfway in between those two on that line segment. Well, that's easy. I can see that it's 2, 6. We went right to another. It's going to be right there. I can see that. You can see that. That's so easy. Let's do it like this. Let's say x equals x1 plus x2 right here. So 3 plus 1, all that over 2. And then the y value will be 8 plus 4 over 2. If I were to punch all that in my calculator, make sure you hit the fraction button first. 3 plus 1 over 2, I think your final answer will be 2. And then 8 plus 4 over 2, I think you'll get 6. My final answer will be 2 comma 6. Now, that's what we got over here, just looking at the picture. The problem is we don't always have the graph. We don't always have nice answers, but let's keep trying. All right, so x equals x1 plus x2 over 2, and then y equals y1 plus y2 over 2. If you were to punch all that stuff, 2 plus 6 divided by 2 into your calculator, you would get 4. If you were to punch the stuff on the right side, 3 plus 7, all that divided by 2, you would get 5. So your final answer, the midpoint, would be 4 comma 5. That would be the halfway between that point and that point. Next one, another example. So same kind of process. 0 plus 8, all that divided by 2. Y would be 3 plus 10, all that divided by 2. I'll have x equals, I punch that in my calculator and I would get 4. And when I punch this into my calculator, I've got a problem. What's that problem? It gives me a fraction. It's going to give me 13 over 2, and I got to punch my magic arrows, and my magic arrows will give me 6.5. Is that okay? Yeah, that's okay. X, 4, y is 6.5. That is my final answer. So that means but 0, 3 right here, and 8, 10, right 8, and up 10 right there. The halfway point between those would be 4, so right 4, and up 6.5. There it is right there. Look at that. Next one. Let's try it again. I got x equals negative 2 plus 8 over 2. You mean you can do negatives with this? Yeah, you can. Any sort of number you get, just punch it into the formula. Negatives, positives, big numbers, small numbers, decimals, radicals, whatever it is, punch it into this. It's going to give you an answer. You'd have x equals, I believe that is 3, and this would be 4. So 3 comma 4 would be your midpoint right there. I'd push pause right here. I'd try this one on your own. I got x equals -1 plus 3 over 2, and I've got y equals 2 plus -6 over 2. That's x equals 1, and that's y equals, I think that is -2. So my final answer would be 1 comma -2 would be halfway between that point and that point. And I think this is the last one we're going to do. I've got, oh Lord, look at all those decimals. I got x equals 6.4 plus 0.8 over 2. And this would be 3.5 plus 12.5 over 2. I definitely want to use my calculator right here. I'm going to punch that in. I think this would give me 3.6. Please punch in your calculator and double check that for me, please. I think it's 3.6. And then the y value would be, I think, 8. So my midpoint, the halfway point between those crazy decimals up here, would be 3.6 comma 8.